In today's session of Divorce Court, Jim and Joanna were lost souls looking for love when they met. 6 months later, they were married. But for 9 years, Jim kept a dark secret from his wife until she discovered the truth.
And I found a duffel bag full of women's clothing.
Now Jim calls himself Rebecca and Joanna feels betrayed.
I think it's disgusting.
But when Rebecca met a new man, he wound up in bed with Joanna.
I caught them in bed having sex.
On what fantasy reality planet were you on at the time? Because I think your pantyhose cut off the circulation to your brain.
Woo!
But Joanna claims it was Jim who broke their vows.
He brought other guys home and had sex in our bed.
That is such a tissue of lies.
Now, as Joanna and Jim's marriage collapses, they find themselves in divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Joanne Archer and Jim Archer, also known as Rebecca Archer. I'm advised that you've been married for 10 years. There are no children of this marriage, and now the marriage is ended. I'm also advised, Mr. Jim Archer, to my right, is that correct? That you would like to be referred to as Rebecca. In this courtroom, I'm sorry, this is a marriage, and I'll have to refer to you as husband or wife or Mr. Archer. I understand that you're going through a change, but we're talking about the marriage. And so to make it clear to me, I need to distinguish between a husband and a wife. All right?
Okay.
Ms. Archer, were you always aware during the marriage, initially, that your husband did not wish to be a man?
No, I was not.
Okay. When did you become aware of that?
About a year ago.
Okay. And so is that why you filed for divorce?
Yes, it is.
So tell me what happened.
That's not true.
Yes,
Why
it
did she
is, and you
file?
know it.
That is not true. She found out, I told her a year before she left, and at first she didn't accept it, but over a period of a few weeks, she began to like it and began to enjoy it.
A year before she left?
A year before she left.
That's not true.
Well, weren't you married for 10 years?
Yes, we were married for 10 years.
So for 9 years of the marriage, you lived in deceit?
I lived in denial of my true self.
Was she aware that you were didn't like being a man?
No, she was not.
So it's not funny.
Confusing. No, it is.
This is a marriage. Now imagine yourself married to someone you think you've married a man and find out later that it's not a man. It's not a funny thing. Is it, Mrs. Archer?
No, it's not.
Tell us about it.
I think it's disgusting. If I think a man should be a man and not instead of a woman. If he's
When you
born a
first
man,
met
he should
him,
stay.
what was going on? When you first met him, how did he present himself?
He presented himself as a man.
Did you have any sense or any signs that he wanted to be, this marriage was anything other than normal?
Not really.
Well, what do you mean by not really?
No,
what is it?
that's an it.
No, that is not an it. An it is this.
I'm a
An
person.
it is this glass case. This is a human being.
Thank you.
It's a human being. It's not an it. You will not refer to him as an it. All right? You will respect that he said to you, and he said to us, openly and honestly, I'm going through changes emotionally. I'm not sure myself. I tried to live both ways. It's not an it. All right? Respect his feelings. All right? I understand that it's hurting you, right?
Yes, it is, very much.
Okay. So, and what else happened during this marriage as a result of becoming aware that he was no longer the man you thought you had married?
He had a phone call at home one night, and he was over in his father's computer room working on the computer. I walked over there to give him the message, and he had the computer room door locked, which is normally not locked.
This is the computer room at your house?
No, at his mother's house.
Okay.
And then I knocked on the door, and he answered, and he said, just a minute, and I heard him rummaging around in the room. And finally, he opened the door, and I came in. I told him that he had a phone call, and I happened to look on the computer room desk, and my compact was laying on the desk.
Your powder compact?
My compact. I confronted him with it, and I said, "What are you doing with my compact?"
You mean your makeup?
My makeup.
Okay.
I confronted him with him, and I asked him, "Why is my compact sitting on the desk?" And he had a mirror sitting on there. He says he was doing something because he writes role-playing games, and he was doing something with it for his role-playing game with it.
And that was your first instance or first inkling of this desire?
Yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Well, one day, the next day when he went to work, I had gone over there because I wanted to work on the computer. And I just got curious, so I looked around the thing, and I found a duffel bag full of clothes.
What type of clothes?
A skirt, a blouse, a purse.
Women's clothing?
Women's clothing. And makeup, all different types of things. My sanitary napkins, everything.
Sanitary napkins?
Everything.
How are you going to use those, Mr. Archer?
I wasn't going to use them. I just had them because that was feminine
What women
articles.
carry?
Right.
Did you promise her then that you were going to stop?
No, I did not.
What did you say to her?
We sat down and we talked about it, and she decided that it would be okay as long as it wasn't in her presence. It would be all right if I expressed my feminine side as long as I did not do it in her presence.
And that's what she told you?
That is what she told
Is
me.
that right?
No.
What did you say to him?
I told him I didn't want him to do it at all. I wanted him to get rid of the stuff. I didn't think it was appropriate for a guy to be dressing up like a girl.
That's why
So did you think if he got rid of the stuff that would just end it?
I guess, yes.
Now she's with someone else.
Exactly.
Doing the same thing.
Who does the same thing.
Your Honor, I
Is that
used
right?
to do it.
Who are you?
Yeah. I'm her witness. Me and her live together now.
Step forward.
He is also...
What's your name?
Jan Allen. I came into this, Your Honor.
Hold on. I didn't tell you to say
Okay,
anything.
I'm
I just
sorry.
asked you what your name was. Okay. Now, Mr. Archer was telling me something about it, and then I'll let you respond to it. Let me see what he has to say about it. What were you saying?
When I first needed to start expressing my feminine side, I did it online on the computer as much as more than anything else.
But that wasn't when you first needed to. You mean when you continued while you were still married?
As I continued. Because she didn't want me to do it openly in front of her. I needed to do it somewhere, so I did it on the computer. I met Jan on the computer.
Online?
Online. And Jan became a fantasy boyfriend.
But see, online, you didn't know whether Jan was a man or whether Jan was a woman, did you?
Yeah, I knew that Jan was a cross-dresser at the time.
So he told you that online?
Yeah, he was going by the name of Jennifer.
Okay, Jan, what do you have to say about that?
All right, when I met Jim over the computer, we would go into chat rooms, and it's all fantasy. I mean, I used to play Star Trek fantasy games. That don't mean I'm a Klingon.
So you just did it for fun?
Right, basically. Basically.
But you had no desire to be a woman?
No. No, ma'am.
Did he tell you that he was married?
Yes, I knew
to
he
a
was married.
woman?
I used to talk to both of them.
Oh, so you chatted with
Yes.
Mrs. Archer as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
she started talking to me.
I talked to him over
After-
the computer.
And when you chatted with him, Miss Archer, over the computer, did you know that he was a cross-dresser?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that he was a man?
Yes, I knew he was a man.
So you were offended by your husband being a cross-dresser. So why would you take up with another man doing the same thing? Explain it.
Because I knew he wasn't taking it literally.
How did you know that?
Just as
Because he
literally.
told me. He told me he was not taking it literally.
So that's not why you're ending this divorce then, because of the way he dresses, is it?
No, the reason why I'm ending the divorce is because he
Ending the marriage, I mean.
in the marriage because he brought other guys home and
Okay.
had sex in our bed with these guys.
Okay, so that's the real reason.
Yes.
Is because there was other people involved
Yes.
in the relationship.
Yes.
The infidelity.
When divorce court returns, Jim and Joanna accuse each other of cheating during the marriage.
I caught them in bed having sex when
Who's
I came
them?
home. Those two.
You respected your wedding vows.
Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? To be a guest on Divorce Court, call 1-877-311-2222. Divorce court is back in the case of Joanna Archer versus Jim Archer, as Jim responds to Joanna's accusations that he cheated during their marriage.
I never brought anybody home while we were married, while we were together, after they told me.
Who's they?
Jan and Joanna, after they told me that they were in love and they were going to run away together, I had that first visitor.
That's not true.
What do you say about that?
That's not true.
That's wrong.
He'd bring people home. He'd go out
I never brought one
and
person home.
brought people home.
Pick up strangers?
Strangers.
And brought them to your house?
Yeah.
And when did this occur?
It's been about a year ago.
Was this before or after you met Mr. Allen over here?
Before.
All right. And then what happened when he'd bring the guys home?
I did not bring anybody home.
He'd take them to the room. He told me to stay out of the room.
So he brought them when you were there?
Yes.
And you saw them come through the door?
Yes.
And he'd take them into his room?
Yes.
And he'd tell you to stay out?
Yeah.
And what you do? Just stay out?
That is such a tissue of lies. I've never had one person over in that house before she left. Jan was the first
Your Honor,
man.
he's lying through his teeth.
How you know? He said it was before he met you.
I was living in Arizona at the time, and I was invited there by both of them to take a vacation.
But this supposedly occurred before they met you.
Right, but he's saying that he never brought anybody into that house until me. While I was there, he brought a guy in from Alabama and slept with him for 2 nights.
After.
In their bed. And this
He said,
was
but
not,
that was after
I
you,
never
the
told
two.
him. I never told him that I was in love with her and me and her was going to run off.
What happened?
The second day I was there, he called. Well, Joanna came and told me, said, Jim won't see you in the bedroom. I said, all right. Said, if he goes touch me, I'm going to knock him out. We went. I walked into the bedroom. He was laying on the bed in some kind of nightgown that looked like it was from the 1950s. And he turned around and says, I do not love Joanna. I do not want Joanna. When you leave, you take her with you, or she will not have a place to live.
2 days after you were there?
2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
How long did you chat with him before you came to his home?
A few
to their
hours.
home?
A few hours before, I called him into the room. She came into the bedroom, and she told me they were in love, and she was going to leave with him.
Mrs. Archer told you that?
Yes, you did.
I did not.
I did not bring anybody over to that house. I did not have sex with any person, man or woman, while we were married. I respected our wedding vows. I caught them in bed having sex when I came home. Those two.
You respected your wedding vows?
Yes, I walked in. You two were in the front bedroom having sex.
When was this?
When was this?
On what fantasy reality planet were you on at the time? Because I think your pantyhose cut off the circulation to your brain.
Woo!
Now, I'm sorry. Don't sit and tell lies on me.
I am not lying. I saw you two in bed together.
Yeah.
When?
When was this?
It was the third day that it was here. It was the day after she told me that they were going to go away together.
The third day after he came to visit for vacation.
And it was also the day that I told them to leave.
So the marriage is basically ending because of the cross-dressing and him bringing in the other men into the house and the infidelity. So the whole marriage was deceitful between the Archers.
Basically, yes.
Mm-hmm. So how did you end up in Arizona with Mr. Allen?
Because he threw her out.
He threw me
He
out.
told her to leave.
She said she
He told
wanted
me he
to go
didn't
with
love me.
him.
He
and I
didn't
said,
want me. And
fine.
if I didn't go with him, I'd be out in the streets.
And what did Mr. Allen tell you?
I told her to come with me then.
That she could come with you?
Yes, I told
And
her to
at that
go
point,
with me.
what was it?
If he put her
Friendship?
on if he put her
We
on
were just friends.
If he put her on a silver platter, hey.
She came
And
to
this
me.
is the only friend you had in the world to go to?
At the time, yes.
What did you leave behind that you would have wanted to take?
The fur coat, which he said he wanted to keep.
So that's what you left?
Because it looked good on him.
He came out that day that we were leaving. We were packing stuff up because his brother was supposed to be on his way over with the sheriff.
Okay.
And she had called her surrogate mother, and he was carrying us over there. He went into the bedroom and come out with this.
What this, the coat?
With the coat. And
The fur coat.
He says, I'm going to keep this because this looks good on me, and you're
He
not going to take it.
says you're not taking it with you.
How did you get
And
that?
That is not what happened at all. I never brought that out.
Yes,
What
you did.
happened?
I
You
told
brought
her
it
to
out of the
take
bedroom.
everything she wanted, anything that she wanted, she needed to take with her now, because if she left it, it was mine. And she agreed to that.
She agreed?
Yeah, she
How
agreed
much
to that.
stuff can you carry on a Greyhound bus, dummy?
I told you to take what is the most important stuff to you, And don't leave anything behind that's important. Take the most important stuff.
No, when we
Take what
left
you
there,
really
you
want.
said you
Did
would
you pack a
ship the stuff
suitcase?
to. He said he would ship the stuff to us.
Where did this fur coat come from?
A
It was-
very good friend of mine,
was
she gave it to
given
me
to
as a
us.
birthday present. It was a gift from her husband to her, which she couldn't wear it because she was allergic to it, and so she gave it to me for my birthday.
You recall that?
No.
Were you at home when
Yes.
the coat was brought?
Yes.
And what did the person say?
She said she brought it over and said that she couldn't wear it because she was allergic to it, and that one of us ought to be able to wear it. It ought to fit one of us, so
Did
we
she
could
say
have
that
it.
jokingly when she said one of you ought to be able to wear it?
It didn't appear to be jokingly to me.
You thought that she was serious about it, or she was making a joke about you?
No, I didn't think she was making a joke.
You didn't think
I
she was
thought-
insulting you?
No, not at all.
Okay. And so she said one of you ought to be able to wear it. Okay, that was a year ago. Who wore it?
We
I
both
did.
We both did.
I mostly wore it. He
So
wore
both
it
of you
once
wore
in
it?
a while without me really knowing about it. He came out one day with it on and said he liked it, and he said if I was ever to leave, he wanted to keep it.
But I also, when she left, told her to take what she wanted, and she didn't take it.
Put the coat on. Okay, there it is on you. Pass the coat to Mrs. Archer. Take it off. Let her put it on. Step back. I can't see you well. All right, I'm going to make a decision about this fur coat.
The judge renders her verdict when divorce court returns, and Jim and Joanna react to the judge's decision. Closed captioning for divorce court provided by Divorce court is back in session as Joanna and Jim Archer await the judge's decision.
Back in the matter of Archer, this has been a most interesting case, to say the least. And Mr. Archer, I hope that you would get some help for your difficult problem that you're going through and make some decisions about what you're going to do and stop deceiving people. You knew exactly what was going on with you, and the least you could have done was informed your wife about what was happening with you in terms of the conflict and the dilemma you were going through in your mind to see if she wanted to be bothered with that. That's the least you could have done. Mrs. Archer, you haven't been quite honest or forthright with this court either. I think that you had some idea of what was going on, and at some point you began to like it. And you can't tell me that you didn't because you met with another man who's doing the same thing. I believe that once you met him, Mr. Allen, and you had been dealing with your husband, realized he wasn't the man you wanted or the man that you thought, you met another man, you decided to go off with another man. And you could have taken the time to pack your things. I'm not sure how we got to this fur coat. It's not clear to me, but you say that the lady that gave it was more of a friend to Mr. Archer than she was to you. So I'm going to award the fur coat to Mr. Archer. That's my judge. That's it.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
Joanna and Jim react to the judge's decision when divorce court returns. Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? To be a guest on Divorce Court, call 1-877-311-2222.
I feel great. I really do. I feel like it was the right thing.
Upset? Hurt? I just wanted it to be over with. I don't want nothing to do with it anymore.
I'm moving. I'm going to be get a new job. I'm starting my life over. I'm going to become the woman I was meant to be to begin with.
When everything's over with, me and Jan's gonna get married.